man. It took me forever to make the video.
Yeah, I mean, that type of stuff is so meticulous. That's why, like, I try to add them to the first few, but it takes so much longer, and the shelf life is so short that ultimately you just get tired of doing it. Like, I do. Not that I hate editing, but it's just like, in this market where videos, maybe you're good for 3 hours and then no one will ever care about that video for the rest of it. It's not the same as a evergreen piece of content that'll be up there forever.
Right. I'll still go back and watch it for memory's sake.
Well, I mean, you're just a mark for yourself. It's okay to love you some you.
No. Just go back and relive good times.
Josh, you need more friends, bro. Don't be listening. Don't be.
I got you guys, man.
Yeah, that's all you need. You do got us. Maybe I don't know, like in 20 years, if the YouTube library is still up, I'll go back and listen to just crazy takes or something, but I definitely do not go back and listen. Tell my grandchildren about the good old days of breaking down games. I'd probably be like angry at the new analytics that are out.
Yeah.
Back in my days, we had 6 fouls in a game. Now you got your unlimited. So, like, I'm gonna pull up all the minute rotations and stuff, but does it matter? Everyone plays 40, right? It's like,
Yeah.
all right. I guess I got everything. I got baseball after this, but Josh, if we take an hour for these 2 games, bro, you're sick.
Dude, I could talk a lot, man. I got a lot of material.
All right.
I watch so much game film, dude. Like, yeah.
Bro, are you when your kids grow up, you're gonna be like a little league coach?
Oh, yeah.
That takes it way too far.
Oh yeah. I'll throw chairs.
Box out. Box out. He's just like a 5-year-old. Box out. Box out. God dang, you're benching kids.
Oh yeah. And clipboard would be used more as a weapon than an actual teaching tool.
What's up, guys? Happy Tuesday. It's April 12th, 2022. It is the beginning of the postseason, and the league, the NBA regular season wrapped up. Frank Vogel left behind, and now the teams that were the best of the best of the best are not playing tonight. Now we're playing the teams that were kind of okay, not as good as the best of the best, but they're still maybe better than the worst of the worst. And we have 2 games on the docket tonight for NBA in the new play-in tournament format, where we are going to look at the Nets and the Cavs and the Clippers and the Timberwolves. So should be pretty easy, condensed slate of games. Should be what I'm looking forward to. Josh, I don't know if you looked at the spreadsheet and looked at my, because you know you're more of a prop guy now, but I actually have all my DFS stuff done at 1 o'clock my time on a Tuesday for NBA. That doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. So
Is that all you, or did Jax help?
no. I mean my spreadsheets. I mean my player pool, my lineups, all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
Is done. Says I'm offline. Check my connection. Chat. Are we out here?
Great.
Are we out here? I did just kind of bang on my desk, but I've been noticing my my thing wiggles, but my thing says I'm good, so I think I'm good. I think I'm good. Chat, type 1 if you can hear me. Anyway, so with that in mind, there's going to be some late news today that probably ruins everything, but it is quite the feeling to be done with NBA.
I said playoffs. We're safe.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe when we get into some series, the game 3s, you might get some cues or some ailments or something like that, especially with the Toronto series or whatever. But today we should be good. Off a couple days rest. What do you think about Luka playing and getting hurt, and now he's likely going to miss at least game 1 against the Jazz?
That's rough, man. I mean, I get it. You want a fighting chance to get a higher seed, but at the same time, you saw the Warriors' opponents. They were teams that had nothing to play for, so that's tough, man.
Okay, well, it sucks for Luka. Sucks for the Dallas Mavericks fan. So
he got hurt last playoffs too, right? I mean, he hurt his ankle and played on a bum ankle the entire series. So
yeah, don't do that. Don't risk it. So when people hate on these kids for not playing in the I don't know, the Honeywell PlayStation 4 controller thumbtack ball in Honolulu, that doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? The people hating these college football for not playing. Why? Don't. I don't know. Luka did need to play, but obviously you can't be results oriented when it comes to that. But that's unfortunate. Hopefully Dinwiddie and them can get that fight going. Shout out to the live chat. You guys are awesome. You know, I noticed not a lot of people care about the playoffs from a prop content standpoint. I'm looking across, the scene. You would think the views be higher in the playoffs, but they're actually so far they're not. So maybe that changes. What up, Eric Aguida, Skimmer, Josh? Shout out to Josh in the chat. Quinn, Mock Wall, Emerson's baby, Gap, Corey in the chat. There's a lot of member logos in the chat, though. That's looking and feeling real nice. I appreciate that. What up, Steve? What up, Mike? Just banged on my desk and heard my little thing wiggle. No, wait a minute. I did just hear a lawnmower, and I'm just like, I swear they waiting for me to go live to hit that lawnmower. Anyway, tonight we're going to peruse through the board on PrizePicks. It is Taco Tuesday. They do have a Shane Bieber strikeout prop. So the initial line was at 6. The new line is at 5. I can maybe vouch for this. Let me do 2 pieces of work real quick. First of all, I want to open up a baseball. Wait, Shane Bieber.
It's not much of a discount.
Oh, for Shane Bieber, it is. Trust me.
But they should at least give you like 1.5 or 2. Come on.
No. He'll be all right. So Shane Bieber threw 72 pitches in the first game. So the way baseball works, you could probably get 10 to 15 extra pitches in your next start as you start to get ramped up. And if you guys are part of the RunDFS.com NBA VIP, and you guys have access to the RunDFS.com MLB VIP spreadsheet, we actually, I did code something called the K Factory. It was a little bit of a strikeout projection. Josh, we're going to have to teach you how to use this if you're going to keep this baseball PrizePicks content going. Yeah. And I'll walk you through off the air. But essentially what it is, if I can project a pitch count on somebody versus the starting lineup, so for Shane Bieber against this lineup, bunch of 20% and better strikeout rates, I click on the K Factory, and since he threw 72 pitches in that last outing against Kansas, I'm going to give him a modest 80, but I do think 85 to 90 is possible. So at 80 pitches, I'm getting 7 strikeouts. So if the line's at 5, the model likes the over. It even likes the over on the 6. So that is a reduced line that's up there right now. So if you guys want to take advantage of that, there's 49 minutes left on that. I know it's not basketball, but I know a thing or two about baseball, and I think that's a solid line to take the over on. Shout out to Mia Moore in the chat. Okay, buddy. F the Yankees, go White Sox. We trying to get banned out here. I'm just kidding. Hey, Red Sox won 1 game. Good for them. Good for them. So how do we do this? So we're gonna focus on the 2 games tonight. Maybe throw some thoughts out there for tomorrow's games.
Yeah,
And
well, we have the props for tomorrow's games. We just don't have the DFS lines.
right, okay.
So how do you want to handle that? I mean, do we still talk about the props, or do we just like do a short show tomorrow as well?
What do you want to do?
You know me, man. I'm always game.
I mean, are you doing a first look in the morning or no? Since you did it,
I mean, no, because I went over those two games that are tomorrow. I went over it in the show today. So, but that doesn't. I mean, we could still do a live stream to cover the DFS and prop.
okay. I forgot I can't play Spotify when I'm in a Discord call. So, you guys were hearing a little guitar riff, huh? I was trying to put a little ambiance to ignore the guy mowing the lawn.
Gotcha.
I've been doing it on my baseball stream since I'm just talking to myself forever. But yeah, what you can do. All right, so no first look in the morning. Maybe a stream tomorrow, but I tell you what, like I don't have super high intentions to talk DFS today because I don't really think this slate takes much for DFS. Like I don't think there's skill in finding spots. I think we're probably throwing 20 lineups at the wall, playing different team stack stuff like that. And it's 2 games. There's gonna be a lot of dupes in the optimal and stuff like that. So I do want to focus more on the prop betting start. So I have the sheet open. I got PrizePicks open, and I also got ODDSJAM open. So shout out to ODDSJAM. They are the sponsor of this show, and we will be using their assistance to cross-reference some of the lines and the price of these lines on all of the sports books out there today. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about game number 1 here. The Cavs at the Nets. We've got a 227 total. Brooklyn favored by 9.5. Garland, Karis LeVert, Kevin Love, Evan Mobley. Like these are the names that come to the front of my mind when I think about who the Cavs are going to have to play super deep minutes to be competitive with playoff Durant, with playoff Kyrie. So those were the guys I've been focused on in my early NBA DFS lineups. I would imagine those are kind of be the guys I'll be thinking about for PrizePicks as well. This morning, listening to your video, I know that we discussed, or you discussed, Kyrie and KD. They can kind of be frustrating to predict pre-flop, but what we probably can predict is that both these guys are going to play over 40 minutes of basketball tonight in a must-win game. So I do like that, to say the least. What stood out to you to get cranked up? And I also want to mention that I believe Kevin Durant is going to be a discount taco today. Looking at the voting, looks like we're going to get Kevin Durant PRA, and that's going to drop down to 42.5 from 47.5. And if I look at my early prop projections for Kevin Durant, I got Durant at 44, so it's easily on the over. Not easily, but it's on the over. So we probably take advantage of that. Kind of a weird thing to see. I guess they never really offer fantasy points on these things, but I wish they would because I would just always look for the fantasy points. But PRA is close enough. So PRA is going to be down to 42.5. I imagine we'd probably want some stake in that, max that, and then go from there. So you guys look out for that taco. Should be dropping soon. But what's screaming at you when you look at the PrizePicks board? For the we'll start with the Nets. You want to start with the Nets?
Yes. Okay. We start with the Nets. So I mean, since KD's gonna be a taco, and that would be a popular play, probably hold off on talking about him being a distributor. Hey, I'm getting an echo.
You getting an echo from me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that's possible, but Chat, you guys getting double echo? Because I don't hear nothing. Which usually means it's me, but I don't understand how it would be. I'll mute myself. I'll mute myself.
Okay, yeah. So, I wanted to talk about KD being a distributor. So, all season long, he's getting like all these different defensive schemes, which I mentioned in the early look show. They're sending either a full double team on him, or they're having a ghost shadow help defender following him. So this is really increases assist rate. But it just depends on what the Cavs do today. I watched some film and I listened to a lot of like beat writers talk about what the Cavs could do and throw at KD. And basically what they're saying, and what I gather is like it's just going to be a group effort. You're going to get Markkanen probably as the primary defender, like the last game. And Markkanen got in foul trouble. He had 4 fouls, and so he played less minutes, around 25 minutes that game. And then they're going to have to throw Lamar Stevens in there too to help him out. Markkanen being the primary defender on KD would have been okay if Jared Allen was playing. Like Jared Allen not playing is just huge hole for the Cavs. I mean, he was such a crucial part of their defense and offense, and being that help defender. So Markkanen not having Allen there really hurts, but having Evan Mobley there as a help defender is big. So Mobley, one of his big strengths is being a help defender. He's actually not a good primary rim detector. You can look at his advanced stats on that. And so, I mean, Mobley likes to kind of play the free safety rover, kind of like a Time Lord does in the paint. And that's basically his like real strength. And he's really good at like avoiding fouls but having a high block rate. And that's why the Cavs, are like in the top 5 and least amount of free throws allowed. But I would say this about Evan Mobley. One of his big weaknesses is defensive rebounding. I went back and looked through his stats in the season, and he's really bad at defensive rebounding. And so as a result, he gives up a ton of offensive boards, and that's one of Drummond's strengths. And so Drummond, I think, killed him on the offensive glass last game, and he could easily do that again today. And so you could look at Drummond's rebound prop. I know it's high for him around 11.5. But you could also look for his point prop. I mean, if he's going to get these offensive rebounds, he's going to have those easy second chance putbacks. And Mobley really struggled against Drummond that last match. So he could very well do the same today.
Yeah, I'm going to pull that game up here for Drummond. We've got Drummond with...
He had 5 offensive rebounds on him.
Jeez, 12 total rebounds, 5 offensive rebounds, yeah. And then offensive rebounds, not all the time, especially not if it's Steven Adams, but a lot of times can just turn into quick layup or dunk attempts, right? So just kind of clean up the glass. So, yeah, I guess that would correlate pretty well with that 11.5 point over. Yeah. The one thing I am skeptical on that, and you've heard this, you know where I'm going with this, right?
Yep.
It's the playoffs.
Yep.
What is LaMarcus Aldridge's role in the playoffs? Is it going to be nothing? Because it can be nothing, but it also can be something. And if we look at most of the games since Aldridge has been activated, he's been DNPing. There's been a couple of, hey, I'm still here flashes, but for the most part, not there. So that is still my fear that going into the playoffs, we might get that curveball where you might get a random Aldridge game and a lesser extent a random Blake game. But to take advantage of the matchup and all of the stuff that you did say, I think Drummond profiles well here against Mobley. And the other thing I would say is, you mentioned that Steve Nash did say that he likes to throw Nick Claxton on the court against athletic guards on the other end.
So speed, like his length, Drummond, he just gets burned. He's just traditional big. He gets burned by guards that are driving to the paint like Garland does a lot. So, yeah, Claxton has that regained speed to make up for in the paint. So, yeah.
All right, so it doesn't come without some risk, but I think it logistically makes some sense. By the way, did you know that PrizePicks is offering first half PRA now?
Yeah, I saw that, but why do first half in the playoff?
I mean, I get it, and we before we went live, we talked about there's going to be a couple players that are risks to their team in the crunch time. Clint Capella, poor free throw shooting guys. So throwing a net over at least, especially a 1-game playoff, like sometimes there's a game 2 at a 5-7 game series where teams up 30, then you call off the dogs. But this is do or die. So I would expect the key players to get 40 minutes and high 30. So I don't think it's going to be something I would be heavily targeting in this spot. But maybe down the line, if that's going to be a thing next year, sure. But there will be a couple players coming up that I think we can target. As a matter of fact, Goran Dragic's back in the mix now, right? And I know he's coming back from an illness, but we have seen there's fourth quarter stints where Dragic closes over Bruce Brown. But that will come down to your game script here, because I think if the Nets are protecting a lead, I don't think that's the spot where you need Dragic on the court over Bruce Brown. If the Nets are playing competitive or even from behind, things get weird, then you probably want another shot creator and facilitator out there. But on top of all that, Dragic is coming off the health and safety protocol, so I'm assuming he was not able to practice with the team, so he might have a few conditioning concerns. But that might be another guy that we keep an eye on, like a Bruce Brown first half might get more minutes, if this, then that, blah, 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 blah. But yes, it is nice that they added it, but probably not a huge boost for us early on, unless you guys know a couple of foul-happy guys or guys that might not close out but play 3 quarters. So I think that's something to look out for. So are you ready to move on to the Cavs, or do you have any other Nets to spot?
Oh yeah, I want to discuss some Nets some more. Am I still having an echo? I don't hear it on my end, but the chat says that I'm echoing.
I don't hear it, but
you guys still hear it? I guess we have to wait with a delay.
Is it when my mic is hot? I don't have 2 mics up.
I don't hear it anymore.
Josh is echoing.
Okay, well, yeah, for the other guys, so you mentioned Bruce Brown. I just don't know. I don't like with Dragic being like coming back from the protocol, not practicing yesterday, and not being conditioned. I just don't see the role. I just don't see him needed today. I mean, you have Seth Curry who can't do the ball handling when Kyrie's not handling the ball or is on the bench for a few minutes, and Bruce Brown, he's been really efficient with that corner 3. I feel like he's always making that corner 3 lately, and he's just playing defense and getting the boards, filling the stats. So I don't know. I feel like he should be in for around 35 minutes today. So I do like him for his fantasy points, because he does get stocks as well. And then Kyrie. So Kyrie's tough, man. Like so you got KD in the mix, and KD in the playoffs, and when he gets near the finals and these clutch games, he's a different person, man, and a different breed. Like he just takes over the game, and basically is just the primary guy. But Kyrie likes to do that too. But Kyrie has a tough matchup. So Okoro has actually had success against Kyrie this season, and Okoro is actually a pretty good on-ball defender against guards. But he does tend to foul at a pretty high rate. I think he fouls the most on the Cavs team. So give him problems, he looks to dish it out. It's just, we don't have this isn't going to be a 7-game series. We're not going to see how coaches adjust and how they change the game plan. And it's just going to be this 1 game, one and done between these two. And it just depends on what the coaches do defensively, how they handle Kyrie and KD. I think they just sell out to stop both of them, and then just hope that Bruce Brown misses this wide open corner 3s, kind of like a Lance Stevenson treatment. And same for guys like Patty Mills and Seth Curry. But that's kind of my thinking. So I'm kind of holding back on Kyrie props. But I mean, it's Kyrie, so he's always live for scoring.
Yeah, I gotcha. Hey, Josh, your mic's a little hot at times. Can you turn your gain down just an inch? Like when you peak, it peaks hard.
All right, there we go.
All right, that's perfect. All right, so you want to, I guess we want to move over to the Cavs.
Yes, I do. Okay.
Oh, no, okay, we're doing a full fade to Cavs. We can if you want. So I think when we look at Darius Garland, he's the guy that was playing 40 minutes in regular season anyway. So I'm definitely going to go right back to the well for the postseason, and we have seen Garland rack up 17, 18 assist games, and they gave us an 8.5 line early on. So just stomach and knee-jerk reaction alone, I'm like, that seems like a line I want some exposure to, especially in the playoffs. So do you agree that that we should target the over at 8.5? Or are you a little uncomfortable there? Because I do think I'd be slamming the over, but the line is not getting any different. It's still minus 120, minus 130 on the over. So it's not necessarily seeing public agreement with me there, but it just feels low.
It does. I think people are hitting the under too because it opened at like 9 or 9.5, and it keeps going down. So I think people are just game log watching and just seeing like, oh, his assists are down. He's just looking to score. But a lot of it, I think, it was just due to that certain game context, and guys not making a shot, like LeVert not making his shots, and Okaro's just been really quiet offensively. And then like when they played the Nets, it did. So Chetty is a boost on the offense for them, but he's a real downgrade for defensively. So it's kind of a trade off when Chetty's in there, it boosts Garland's assist rate. And then Markkanen, he has his hands full with KD. So it is risky. Just for that sake, where Garland might just have to take it on.
I don't want to poo-poo on Chetty Osman here, but do you think he's a big part of the rotation tonight? Like
I don't. Although I think if they start falling behind big early on, I think that he will come in as a spark. He is like the spark plug offensively when they're struggling.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Kevin Love also exists, but
yeah. No. So I want to get to him. Like I think his props are too low. I think with in the playoffs like this and important games, you lean on your vets, and he is like their one vet, right? Like one true vet, and he's gonna play a huge role, and especially on the glass, because like I said, Mobley is terrible on defensive rebounding. So Kevin Love will come in, and help box out Drummond, help get in there and fight with those elbows and get those defensive rebounds to prevent those second chance putbacks. And he was really efficient that last game. I think he had, what did he have, like 6 or 7 defensive rebounds. He had 5 defensive rebounds, 9 total in just 21 minutes. And then he'll help out on covering KD at times too. So 22 fantasy points. I think that's a little low because I think he can push 25 minutes plus in this matchup, and his 6.5 rebounds I think is too low. I think because, like I said, he will come in and his primary focus will be to help with Drummond and fighting on the glass. So I think those are some sneaky small props that will take less sweating than these like star players who have really juice props. So those are two I'm looking into for Kevin Love, and then LeVert. They need him, man. They need him to step up offensively because Garland cannot do it all on his own. And like I said, Markkanen is going to have his hands full defensively and be in foul trouble again, most likely against KD. So LeVert, he's going to have to score, man. This is where they kind of needed Colin Sexton back, where a guy who can create his own bucket, and that's why they brought in LeVert to kind of fill that void in. But he just hasn't been getting there. He hasn't been doing it. He's not aggressive. But this would be the game for him to step up and kind of redeem himself in that role.
If I had to give you the last 20 games of the NBA season,
yep,
and I asked you who led the NBA in most assists, who would you say?
I would say Trae Young.
It was almost Trae Young. Darius Garland. But I guess he does, for some reason I'm getting 19 games here, but in the last 20 games, I'm looking at 205 assists by Darius Garland. And I feel like that's not right. Man, maybe it is.
Yeah. No, he had the spike games, yeah.
Yeah.
And, consistently.
And what we do have is that since the All-Star break, when Garland and LeVert are on the court together, Garland has a 34.5% assist rate. Now, when LeVert's off the court, it does jump over 40%. Basically, what I'm getting to is 8.5 seems kind of low for me. And I don't understand, and usually when I see something that seems obvious, I just go look at the line on ODDSJAM, and it's like minus 150, minus 160, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna go up. I'm not an idiot. Well, it's not moving. So, am I an idiot, or what's happening here?
No, it's been sitting at that. It's been sitting at that pretty much all since midday yesterday. And these lines have been constantly moving, so it is surprising. I'm with you on that.
All right, well, I'm going to put it in my notepad as the first thing I'm jotting down. All right, let's get caught up on chat. Apparently, PrizePicks is down, so I'm going to not refresh. And, yeah. Okay, so moving past Darius Garland, if we're jotting down some props that we want to throw in the cards tonight, do you have a specific Kevin Love one? I think the real and this is something that maybe if you guys missed over the weekend, if you took the weekend off, let me tell you what Kevin Love did while no one was paying attention. Did you pay attention, Josh?
Wait,
Kevin Love
did you not hear my bet on him, or is that cut out?
No. I heard what you were saying, but I was gonna ask if you have a specific number. If we were taking notes here, specific number one, is it points?
It's rebound.
Okay. All right. And then chat, if you missed the weekend, Kevin Love played 15 minutes against the backup Milwaukee Bucks, dropped 55 fantasy points in 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like his 22 fantasy points too. I think that's too low.
Okay. So, we'll just put anything Kevin Love in the notes.
What? I think we just do fantasy point to get it all, because I think I really like his rebound opportunity, and his scoring is always live, so it makes sense to do fantasy.
And you mentioned Mobley, the rookie here, postseason situation. They could decide to go to the vet here, or they might put Markkanen at the 3 and get Kevin Love out there. I honestly would not be surprised if Kevin Love starts this game, but I do have Love right now for 21 minutes, but I could absolutely see that getting to 30, and with it, 21 minutes, I'm pushing 27 fantasy points as a projection, and that's still well over this 22. So I'm with you.
I mean, I agree that it makes sense to start Love at the 4, but they need Okoro in there at the 3 to guard Kyrie. He will be shadowing him. So.
All right, and then do you want to add LeVert fantasy score or points to the mix?
If I had to add one, and this is going to be mid-tier for me, because like I said, he just hasn't been consistent in showing me that he's the same LeVert. It would be points, because I mean they're going to need him today to shot create and get his own bucket.
All right, so we're going to type up Caris LeVert points, and that's it. Anything on Mobley?
I don't know. Rookies in the playoff, and
yeah, I'm with you. I think
he just gets bullied by Drummond, but the minutes they're gonna be there for him. I'm gonna say maybe points, but that'd be French for me.
Okay. All right, so that's the Cavs here. Moving on to the Clippers. Before I do that, knock out some chat. Emerson said, I missed the Madden stream crew. That was, oh man. Them boys got heat. When is the MLB show? I'm going to be doing an MLB show about 25 minutes, hopefully. Right after this one, I'll cover tonight's baseball slate. So look out for that. Also look out for ODDSJAM. Shout out to ODDSJAM hooking us up. As we head on to the main event tonight, the Clippers and the Timberwolves. Project starting 5 for the Clippers. Reggie Jackson. But what am I doing? It's not a DFS show. 230.5 total, 3-point spread in favor of the home team, Minnesota. It's man, dude. I'm like covering 2 sports simultaneously it drives me nuts. And then one thing, and this is just like a nerdy thing that no one else on the planet can relate to. You know who Adam Wainwright is? He's a pitcher for the Cardinals. He's been pitching probably since you were a child. He spells his name different than Ish Wainwright of the Suns, I think. Right. And he has a W in there. And I was like, that's so weird. And it took me forever to correct typing that name. And then the other day, I caught myself typing Adam Wainwright without the W. It's like, I can't do this. No one man should have to deal with these weird things. Anyway. That's so stupid. 230 total for this one. Playoff P. Well, you're gonna be pushing some P,
Yeah.
bro. Clippers. We'll start with the Clippers side of this one. Where do we? So I think we start with Paul George.
Yeah.
Every line on him seems like against the fastest paced Timberwolves team. Absolutely could be a problem. And then Patrick Beverly, Cancun on 3. 1, 2, 3. What better revenge than to bye-bye?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
man. So I kind of love hyping him up a little bit. So what's your favorite Paul George thing? I would assume maybe if we do get we have 48 fantasy points. We throw a blanket on everything with the fantasy points. I'm at 54 fantasy points. They're at 48. So I do get about a 6-point gap. What are you thinking? Do you have a specific one that just screams he's going to clear that?
Yeah, free throws.
Free throws? Okay. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, we've been attacking free throws against the Timberwolves all year. I think they lead all the playoff teams in free throws allowed, right?
They do. And you got Cat, who's has that fouls at the highest rate individually, and then Vanderbilt's up there. Yeah, I mean, Paul George, I mean, as his game has developed, he's become really crafty at drawing fouls, and he's going to dominate the ball. And you want guys who are going to be the primary ball handlers and usage hogs to attack their free throws because they're higher propensity to get fouled. Yeah, I just really like him for this 5. It opened at 5, and now it's moved up to 5.5.
Okay.
But I see him getting 8 if he shoots well from the line. 8 to 9 free throws tonight.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. Right, his fantasy points. It's just something if you don't want to sweat that high of a number. But it's Paul George. He racks up stock, so fantasy points right there neck and neck with the 48 fantasy point.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So the rest of this Clippers lineup, and I was typing up earlier. I was looking at some other projected starting lineup stuff, and I do think there's a wild card here with Norman Powell and Robert Covington.
Yeah.
I think those are guys they didn't pick up for no reason, and those are guys that, and sometimes in the playoffs, people sleep on this scenario. I could absolutely see in a scenario where Batum, is underperforming, and we start getting more Rocco, or they need more points here. The T-Wolves offense and pace, they could be ahead real fast. There's no Luke Kennard tonight, right? I think he got ruled out, or at least he's not expected to play. You might see some Norman Powell in there. You need some more buckets. I think there is some flexibility and some potential movement in maybe not so much the starting lineup, but maybe the starting lineup, but also the guys that we might lean on for 40 minutes. Some other teams, a lot of these teams, we can plant 40 minutes on most of the starters. I think the Clippers are a team that I don't at least feel that confident. I think there could be a couple of guys that are baked in here for 20 to 24, and you're just kind of rotating the studs. And I still don't feel confident picking between Zubac and Hartenstein. But Paul George, I think, is absolutely the 40-minute guy. I think Norman Powell, if you're in a pinch for scoring, he's probably your second best scorer, just pure scorer. Reggie Jackson might have to pick up some slack, but we know he could be very hot, very cold. And then Marcus Morris might be somebody that has to make up some of those corner threes or something like that if we don't get to intertwine some Luke Kennard minutes here. So how do we game script the Clippers? How do we attack the Clippers past Paul George, or do we even do that?
No, you bring up a great point. I don't even think Ty Lue knows what the lineup's going to be because, I mean, he didn't have time to adjust and rehearse before the playoffs when Norman Powell coming back. So it's risky, man. DFS, I think, they make for a great Honeywell because you can really differentiate yourself with their lineup. But Prop World, man, yeah, you just don't know. Because they could Zubac could lose minutes not only to Hartenstein, but
Rocco.
he could lose it to Rocco, or they could put Marcus Morris at the 5, which they have done, and have to fit Norman Powell in the lineup if they want to, like you said, boost the offense.
Yep.
They'll put in Norman Powell and just shift down Morris to the 5 and keep Batum in there as well, so you have 3-point shooters all around. Yeah. So Zubac's not safe by any means. He hasn't been all season, and he shouldn't be today. But his rebound prop is so low. You've seen him; he can be very productive. You want to click on him. It's very tempting. His props. You'll click on it. You'll see a lot of green. Trust me. But it can be fool's gold, and you never know. But I mean, it's Cat. They're gonna need big bodies out there. Yeah, Marcus Morris. I mean, what do you think about him? So like 20 fantasy points to me, for him, like he's like another guy like who turns a switch on in the playoffs, and he's a different kind of guy. And they use him like I talked about in the video, kind of like a Pat Bev bully. Well, he'll go against the best offensive threat, and he'll kind of try to get in their head. He try to take out Luka's ankles that one playoffs, and try to get in his head. I just think like defensively he's going to be so active, and then he's going to be open on some three-point shots with Paul George and Reggie and Powell gaining a lot of attention with the ball. I mean, 20 seems low.
That last sentence that you said is where my brain starts for Marcus Morris.
Yeah.
He's looking at his game log. Now, he's not super efficient, but 6 to 8 3-point attempts. And then you look at some of these more fast-paced matchups that they've played against, just maybe some comparable pacing. There's games where he can take 6 to 8 3-point attempts. There's also a lot of these games without Norman Powell, and they could just go to Norman Powell. But if we look back tonight, and the Timberwolves are allowing a top 7 amount of points via the 3-ball per game in the league. 2 threes? He's at a 1.5. I mean we probably put that on the fringe list here, but that he might be one of your long range shooters, especially if they sell out for covering Paul George and maybe Norman Powell is not on the court for when that's happening. I think Marcus Morris absolutely could maybe step up in that scenario, and then without Luke Kennard. You need another guy to chuck. I don't think that's the guy they specifically want to be number 1 or number 2 in shooting threes here. But I think 1.5 is a pretty tempting line to go after. So I don't mind that, and some fringe stuff wouldn't be court or anything like that.
Yeah.
And as far as fantasy points go, veterans in the playoffs, they mean that much more. I got them at 26 fantasy points. They got them at 22, so I do have a slight lean on the over.
They bumped it to 22?
Okay, so it was lower. Yeah.
It opened at 20. That's why I talked about it in the video last night.
Oh, see, you're a line mover, bro.
Man, I knew it was too low. It was too low. Yeah, but I mean, just to wrap up the Clippers, because it's just too volatile in my opinion. The Reggie Jackson 5 assists. It opened at 4.5, which I really like, but I think it's gone up to 5 now, unless it's gone up higher than that. With like I said, with all those three-point shooters surrounding him, it should set up nicely if they're hitting their shots. So, if they run that rotation where he has Batum, Morris, Paul George, and Powell all around him, I mean, that's assist money galore for him. So it should be there. It just depends on the rotation and the lineups they run predominantly today. But I could get on his 5 assists.
Pulling up ODDSJAM here, they got, or they're reporting, not a ton of tax on the over for Marcus Morris here, minus 130 in spots, minus 127, nothing extra crazy. So I don't mind. That's a chip at a chair prop.
Yep.
Nothing more, nothing less. And then I think ultimately the Clippers are a team. I know what's going on at the top, but past that, it can change, and like you said, it may not. Ty Lue might have a couple different scripts that he's planned for. Whether it be T-Wolves take an early lead, you got to shoot back in it. I think if that's the game script, if that's your game script, I think that means instantly no Norman Powell, and then Norman Powell, Reggie, Paul George. That's probably at least the 3 scorers you want on the court at the same time, and then Zubac can get in trouble early. You can see a Hardenstein out there, and then if they need to sell out for some defense. Rocco, he may not match up height-wise with Cat, but he might be somebody that they stick out there. So I don't think I want to get too invested in supplementary props and tertiary props for the Clippers. Moving to the Timberwolves here, running low on time.
Yeah.
The big 3.
Not much to say here with them. I mean,
huh?
I was gonna say. I mean, we can move to them quickly because I don't feel comfortable picking between the big 3. And Cat is always, runs the risk of foul trouble, and his numbers are juiced, rightfully so, in this prime matchup form. But the one that stood out to me was Pat Bev. Going back to the leaning on the vet players, and none of the T-Wolves guys besides him really have playoff experience like he does, and I think he's been carrying the team, being a leader all season long, and I think he continues that today. And he will be bullying and trying to get in Paul George's head and Reggie's head. So, yeah, I like his fantasy points.
My thought with Beverly here is on the season, he averaged 25 minutes per game. Maybe he's not a 40-minute guy here, but I think he could be a 35-minute guy.
Oh, yeah. I agree 100%.
So I put him down for 27 minutes. And like I said, we're going to get a lot of information in game one, really in these longer series. But in this one-game must-win style of basketball, I mean, you want this dog out there. You want Beverly out there.
That's why you brought him in. Yeah, that's why you brought him in. Exactly.
And they paid him. They extended him, right?
Yep.
So I think that fantasy line on Patrick Beverly is probably going to stick out as one of my favorite lines.
Me too.
It's at 26 now. I had him at 30 at a conservative minute projection, but I think I could add 7 to 8 minutes on that minute projection, and I wouldn't push back. And I'm like, yeah, I think he could play 35 today. So if I did that, I mean, that could move to 40, especially on our site like PrizePicks. That's going to reward those defensive peripherals a little bit more. Pushback is, you probably get a little mouthy, might get a little bit of foul trouble, what have you. But I think 26 fantasy points is going to stand out as one of my favorite Beverly plays. So I'm going to type that up.
Me too, man. I mean, Pat Bev's the kind of guy like when you go and play street ball, you hate to play against, but you love when he's on your team, man. You love those kind of guys, those dogs.
Absolutely. And we've seen so many situations in the postseason where he's just different. He'll get in. He plays mental defense, right?
Yeah. It works.
Yeah, it does. All right, so we're on the same page on Beverly. Yeah. I think we all know that D. Russ, Edwards, Cat can all kind of vulture each other's ceiling. With that said, I think they coincide here for 38, 42 minutes, and all these guys are live. And there's probably a world where 2 or 3 still kind of hit their overs. Looking at these lines individually, I'm pretty sure my projections will be on the over on just about every single one of them. Cat's at 48 fantasy points. I have him at 54. Anthony Edwards is at 38 fantasy points. I have him at 40. So that's actually much closer than I thought it would be. And then D'Angelo Russell's at 34 fantasy points. I had him at 33. So thinking about a couple of different ways to get different or ways to attack the big three here, is there any line that you felt was a little too soft? Even D-Russ's assist prop at 7, it's a little bit higher than we usually see it with him on the court with Beverly. I still think Beverly, there's going to be times where he probably could just sell out and shadow defense somebody, and D-Russ gets a little bit more ball handling, and that'll spike his assist rate. But I think 7's kind of a tall drink of water. Cat, I think, is the one that feels the safest. If Edwards' shot is not falling and all of a sudden he's 3 for 12 or something like that, I think Cat has the highest floor with his field goal percentage.
100%.
So do you want to take anything on Cat? I do,
but the dude can't stop fouling, man. You just can't. It's just in his DNA. Like, I mean, this season he's been plagued by it every single game, and and it's not just losing minutes to foul trouble. It's changing his whole style of game. He has to be less aggressive, crashing the glass, playing defense, boxing out, going for block shots. So you're reducing your block opportunities and potential.
Yeah, I mean, he averages 7.42 fouls for 36. You know what that means? He wouldn't be playing full games. With that said, we gotta know that they know that. Like, they know All right, foul. You're in foul trouble. Or cat foul trouble. Stop playing defense for a possessor or two.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt's gonna have to do it. Like I don't think Nas Reed is part of the short list plan here. It's just
He fouls too.
exactly. They play physical defense, and
They do.
Zubac can be active here, but at least maybe in this projected front court, the Batums, the Zubacs, the guys like that, maybe it's a little less happy. Only Jaren Jackson Jr., Jayshawn Tate had a higher foul per 36 than him, and he's dang near a whole one above the fourth most at JVal. And this is also why we said Paul George free throw.
Yes.
Looks good. Look at these the highest foul per 36 in the league, and just try to find the Minnesota Timberwolves. Cat's number 3. Jaden McDaniels is on this list. There's definitely that. It definitely correlates with the free throws allowed. Yeah. So, but I still think they're gonna. We might be overthinking it. Like I don't, and I know in the NBA we see it all the time. Guy picks up his second foul right away or his third foul in the first half, and they take him out. But I feel like you really can't do that in this one. But we'll see.
Yeah, you just won't be able to play defense.
Exactly, and then it's target Cat. But are you gonna target him with? Okay. So I kind of want to. I do want to get down on some Cat.
Okay. So you want to do his point because of the foul troubles, and maybe he has to play less defense and just focus on scoring.
I think that's fair. The Clippers have allowed a top 7 amount of points in the paint. Now, I know Cat's a stretch 5. He'll chuck some threes here, but he should be able to bully the Clippers front court a little bit. And then Karl-Anthony Towns, FDP by game log versus Clippers. Let's go last 5 games on this. And obviously the Clippers haven't had the same lineup in ever. Jesus H, this is actually surprisingly bad, Josh. Cat's recent game log against them. But I tell you what, this is all from last year. Now there is,
but that's Zubac, right? I mean,
yeah, but it is last year. I don't want to. I will say I feel like Cat. He feels like a different player when you watch him. But this is going to November, so it's still this season. Am I reading this right? Did they play 3 times in November? In 3 times in 10 days? All right. Well, that's this season. He does have a 44. Every game though, he stayed at 8, 20, 18 points. So maybe there's some reason to be a little skeptical here. I wish I didn't look at this, if I'm being honest.
I told myself for these playoffs, I am not going back and looking at the season game logs. Because it's the playoffs is a totally different animal. It's like you can't. It's night and day comparison between the regular season.
I agree. All right. So I do want to get to some Cat. Maybe Cat first half is the line we should we should look at like we have been doing for regular season.
Hey, he's been very efficient early on. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Anyone else you want to throw in the blender here? So I guess we'll compare notes. I am getting to the end of my time slot. So here's what I had jotted down. I had Garland over 8.5 assists. I had Kevin Love fantasy points. I had Karis LeVert points. Paul George fantasy points or free throws.
Yes.
Patrick Beverley fantasy points. And I didn't quite know what to take away from the Nets as far as like your warm and fuzzy smash plays. But what do you want to add to this list?
For the Nets side?
Like core to strong.
I would say Kevin Durant assist and his fantasy points.
Okay.
But I guess I mean the people are gonna play his taco. But if you're not doing a taco or doing additional cards, I like those. Although, like I mentioned, he is turning the ball over at a higher rate than normal due to his increased passing role and being double teamed. So maybe if you're scared of that, his PRA, but he's just so good at defense and racking up blocks and steals. You want access to that as well. And then maybe Reggie Jackson assist prop, which I don't think you listed.
All right, I'll add that to my list.
And then how about what do you feel like when you talk about D'Lo's point prop? Pretty low. It's lower
Real
than like,
points?
what,
Yeah.
During the regular season, it was it was usually around 18.5. He's gonna chuck it from 3, man, and he's got a favorable matchup.
Yeah, I was thinking that, and when I saw his points listed, I was looking for a 3-point prop, and I never got it.
Right.
But 17.5 does feel kind of low, especially if we want to hedge our cat here. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Edwards is gonna have his hands full against Marcus Morris and Paul George. So, and he's a young guy.
Yeah.
He could crumble.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take some stabs at D-Russ's points. What are you gonna do? Hey, shout out to ODDSJAM helping us do some research on the fly. If you guys want to maybe see what else develops on the list, or if you want to add to it, or you just want to keep the conversation going, there's a link in the description below for a free Discord, the Gundacker Gaming Discord. Why not be in it? It's literally free. We'll share the bomb detector, Josh, with. We want to do everybody. Oh, wait, hold on. We are at 21 likes, and we've been sitting at 100. If we get to 40 likes, Josh, we'll post the bomb
Yeah.
We'll post the prop detector for everyone, not just the YouTube members. But you got to get to 40 likes and then get in the Discord. I'm gonna be back a couple minutes, talk some baseball. You got anything else for the peeps, Josh? And then I guess we'll try and carve out something tomorrow to get some content out there, even if it's earlier.
Yeah. Well, because we didn't go over the 2 games that are going on tomorrow, so there's definitely room to fit that in. Do the same thing we kind of did today: game script and theory and props for those 2.
Yep.
If you want some time.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm always game for that. And then and like I said, the prop show we dropped today, it has those 2 games that are going to be on tomorrow. So you can check it out, all the way up until tomorrow. We break those 2 future games tomorrow on that show. I'm excited for this playoffs. I think it's gonna be really good. I hope we start off with a bang with these playing games.
I've been waiting to watch some meaningful basketball with the crowd in the thick of it. Tonight should be real fun, especially sudden death basketball. Let's enjoy it. I'll be watching the Yankees for the first game, so But
come on.
What do you mean? Come on.
I know.
Anyway, chat. I appreciate you guys hanging out. If you want to talk some baseball, I'll be back on this channel. A couple minutes. I love you guys. Good luck. God bless. Go win some money. Yeah, we definitely have to stream. Or